Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel for part two of our conversation on how loyalty and commitment to a narc demon always leads to a rude awakening. So, we left off in the last video when I was telling you guys about the Chow Mein story and just other instances where I came to her defense, Roach Face's defense, and was just all around a really amazing friend to her. And so we're going to pick up with discussing um, how the narc will repay you for being a loyal and committed family member, friend, significant other, husband, wife, or what have you. And so, in my case, and I want to hear from you guys down in the comments below how any of this conversation resonates with you. Comment down below your own experiences of being loyal and committed to um, the narcissist, how that played out for you in the end, how your rude awakening took place. I know quite a few of your stories, but share a different dynamic of the fact or whatever you feel led to share in the comments down below. I want you guys to, to chime in and share. And so in my case, I was repaid with, for my loyalty and all of that as a friend, I was repaid with like my contributions and my preparations and stuff like that to the friend group discussions, and otherwise I was repaid with just being insulted, basically being insulted, harsh criticisms, and that type of thing. And I guess I'll go ahead and cue a screenshot of a conversation she and I had. What you're looking at here is a screenshot of her criticism, her shady criticism, and I guess jealous as well, obviously, of the last voice conversation, which I got into a little bit of what that looks like in the Discord app. Um, it's her harsh and unnecessary criticism of how my VC, we call it VC for short, the letter V as in van, how my last VC went. You see what she says here. You can see who is who, okay? And so yeah. And then, of course, the other conversation that you'll see in this thread of WhatsApp conversations is just me talking about, oh, Hyphy is one of her flying monkeys. Hyphy is the flying monkey. If you remember from the video about the smearing and the hoovering I did, he's the flying monkey that's tried to get with me on countless occasions and got shut down every time because I'm not desperate for a man. That's him. And so, anyways, I was just telling her about how he would upload it to whatever YouTube channel, whatever, the voice chat that we were talking about, that he would sync it to that channel. So that's neither here nor there. But yeah, as you can see, she gave this really shady criticism and all of that, and how it was up to her standard and stuff. And like, you guys know how I do stuff, okay? You guys know the excellence in which I deliver any and everything because that's just me. So the fact that it was an amazing VC, and also my man messaged me the very next morning and told me how amazing it was. So that's that on that. So it just goes to show how conniving and just how jealous they are of people that they even call themselves friends, or you're people that think they are friends with or whatever. It just goes to show how beneath the surface of it all and that type of thing. And privately, they're jealous of you, and they have a fine way of showing you that. And so, um, yeah, that's one way that I got repaid, is through insults and just shady remarks and the gaslighting and stuff like that. Private and public gaslighting by, the demonic scumbag. And then, of course, you guys know the ultimate way over time was the fact that she intruded on a very important and a divinely orchestrated relationship that I had in my life. And so that's how they'll repay you, is through just conniving, devious, calculated, strategic agendas like that. And so that's how you'll be repaid, is through just conniving behavior and that type of thing. The rude awakening of your loyalty and commitment to a narc, through friendship, relationship, whatever the relational dynamic is, will come through discoveries and just personal reflections over time, and observations that you make or observations that you make from additional conversations that you may have with them. You'll discover the absolute snake and wolf in sheep's clothing that he or she is as a narcissist. And then, of course, you guys already saw the screenshot of her criticizing my amazing conversation. It was actually a conversation we had back in May, me, her, and then other people in the so-called friend group on relationships. And so we had that back in May of last year, which May was the month, of course, that she was devaluing me and then extra love bombing him and everything else, grooming him for the abuse and everything else, the manipulation and deception, grooming him for all of those dynamics. Um, while in the month of May, she was devaluing me and then extra love bombing him. And then, of course, you're going to be pre-smeared over time by the narc sociopath long before the day of the actual discard. However that happens, who cares? It's a blessing in disguise. We end up finding out the discard. Um, More realizations and evidence of the rude awakening will be the fact that you have to really just come to the sobering terms and grips with the fact that you are masterfully deceived, manipulated, and controlled, and otherwise as a young child and even as an adult, maybe who has narc parents. Or you'll discover, of course, like in my case, that the person was never a friend in the first place, but a very calculated note taker of your personality, your character, etc., in order to, ultimately intrude on your relationship or your marriage. And then, of course, a so-called friend and a narcissist, they will sabotage your life in other vicious and sadistic ways. Your rude awakening may come from the fact that you end up coming to terms with the fact that your entire marriage was nothing but a sham, and you were basically involved in a demonic matrix of sorts, and that you were conned into the most stealth, or no, you were conned in the most stealth and covert ways from the moment that you first said hello and laid eyes on the narc demon, or vice versa. Um, and then, of course, you just have to come to terms when it comes to realizing, that you've been conned, however you've been conned. You just have to come to terms with the fact that you were nothing but a pawn and a quest in the series of grand and demonic daily schemes carried out by the narc demon. And so ultimately, the final question, an action to follow, hopefully, or I guess inaction, if you choose to remain with the narc demon, is, are you going to leave/escape uh, the narc connection, or will you remain in the instance of someone who ends up being the forever supply? And of course, we know they shelve, they shelve their targets and then bring you back out for use if you allow them to manipulate you further that way and that type of thing. So yeah, ultimately the question is, what will you do with um, the finding out that you've been conned and all of that? What are you going to do with your rude awakening? And so many of us, thank goodness, many of us left or otherwise escaped, thankfully, and are progressing through our lives and embarking on new beginnings and healing well and doing the work to heal inside and out and otherwise. And so hopefully all of this came together well, and that type of thing. Comment down below how any portion of this part 2 resonates with you. I want to talk with you guys in the comments down below as always. And that's pretty much all I've got for this conversation. Yeah, it's definitely a rude awakening that your loyalty and commitment to the narc demon was in vain, because narcissists are loyal to no one in return. Although, of course, they are able to portray loyalty, none of it is loyalty. None of it is loyalty in all actuality. And of course, many of us have very similar stories to tell, very gut wrenching stories to tell of just that. And so, anyways, I appreciate you so, so much for tuning in to the video and conversation. And we'll be connecting again soon enough. And that's all I've got for now. My name is Adrena Monet, and I am signing off. Peace, peace.